Hello, people here around the world and beyond. My name is Jordan, and welcome to another episode of the Jet Bros Gaming Podcast, where we have a special guest who hasn't been here since literally the first podcast episode, because
it's been long, hasn't it?
Because fuck COVID, I guess. I don't know. Tiger's back, folks. Say hi to the people.
Hi, it's good to be back after such an extended break.
Yeah, so I think the last thing he did for the channel was his PC timing to buy video.
Yeah,
which was very interesting.
It was a lot of fun, and I guess now I can say I have firsthand experience when it comes to the insatiable demand of computer parts and procuring the best of the best.
That's our big development that we want to get out to the people. So why don't you tell them about your little story here? I mean, it's kind of an event, isn't it?
It is. I treated it as such, and I know a lot of people did as well. So to clarify, I spent 2 days, I want to say from 3 to 4 a.m., in front of a Microcenter up until about noon to 1 p.m. on a Friday and Saturday. And this was all in an event to get my hands on a 3080. And boy, oh boy, it was very, very sad the first day, but the second day was absolutely gorgeous. I got my hands on it $800 later, and a celebratory walk outside of Micro Center, I had my hands on one.
Why a 3080?
Well, for one thing, the price is remarkably low. I wasn't going to spend an additional $500 on the secondhand market to get an $800 part. So that's one reason.
What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Well, what I mean by that is people, unfortunately, the demand is so insatiable. People are taking to eBay and other secondhand listing sites in order to purchase these cards. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people who've managed to procure these cards are in possession of bots. And what I mean by that is they're using automated systems to near instantly purchase any remaining stock out of Best Buy, Nvidia, Amazon.
So they're scalping, right?
But yes, they're scalping. Yeah. Basically, they're scalping. And I don't want to spend the additional hundreds of dollars on my card that I could otherwise go through the endeavor myself and, I suppose you could say, earn it hard.
Earn it? Okay. I like it.
Yeah. It was a very, very interesting experience, I have to say. To be quite frank, I know to a lot of viewers it would probably sound grueling. I mean, imagine waking up at 3:30, 2:45 in the morning just to go sit in front of a store for up to 10 hours. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun at all.
It doesn't. Exactly, it doesn't. But when you're actually doing it, when you're going and you're in line with about 20 other people, it's actually quite an enjoyable experience. The first day, for instance, so this is local Houston Micro Center, and there's only 2 Micro Centers in all of Texas, one being in Dallas, and Houston has the biggest Micro Center in Texas.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the parking lot's marginally large. There's officers that patrol, and they monitor it, and they actually have it's an automated system, or so we thought was an automated system. It's like this box, and it has this large pole, and it has flashing red and blue lights, and it has floodlights that are pointing in every direction. And if it motion senses, an automated voice would say, like, this area is controlled by so-and-so, please leave immediately. Like, it would voice activate when it would see something. Yeah. So, to give you all context, I woke up on the first day, I want to say around 2:45, 3 in the morning. I got up, and I looked at the clock, and I'm like, okay, now's my time. My parents I already told my parents I was going to do this, so they were well aware of my endeavor. I just told them if anything happens, I'm going to call and I'm going to run like hell. Because, mind you, this is, southeast Houston? No.
Inner city Houston.
This is southwest inner city Houston. A lot of homeless people traverse through here, so the likelihood of something shady happening is likely probable.
Higher than normal.
Exactly. I'm at a higher risk. Anyway. It's around 3:30 in the morning, and I think around this time I've already made my way to Micro Center. I went ahead and spoke to one of the security guards there, and they have like a bit of a thick accent. I couldn't necessarily place where it was, but they were very kind black gentlemen. And so I would go up to them and I'd ask them, like, hey, are we allowed to camp out? And I guess they interpreted that as going out and sitting in front of the store. To which they responded, no, you can't do that. So I'm like, okay, I really didn't know how to approach this. So, in my solution, what I ended up doing was I went simply over to the next parking lot. I want to say it was an El Pollo Loco.
Oh, that's right there. Yeah.
I went to an El Pollo Loco, parked into the parking lot, and I sat there for, I want to say, roughly 15 minutes. By 3:45, another person has entered my field of vision, and it's another car. And this person has just driven on into the parking lot and parked. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, can I go? Like, I was kind of, like, scared. Like, I was going to get repoed or something. Mm-hmm. But I went ahead and pulled up beside him. And sure enough, it's this bald dude. He's a cool dude. He's just...
You know when he's bald, you know what he's there for.
Well, anyway, he was a really cool dude.
Yeah.
I think this was like his second attempt because from word of mouth, reportedly that week, they only got one shipment that entire week, and that was Monday.
Well, that's the crazy thing about this, right? Is they don't know when they're getting them.
Yes.
They just know when they're getting deliveries.
Exactly.
Which I think is weird.
It's basically a gamble every day you attempt to camp out.
Yeah.
You're only guaranteed on... obviously, certain days are guaranteed to have a shipment come into the store for resupply. However, the likelihood of it holding a 30-80 is marginal. You don't know.
No one knows, yeah.
Exactly. Many stores, actually, when I was camping out, they had reported that DFW's store had gotten 3 cards. One in Phoenix got 1 singular card.
Jeez.
Others reported an abundance of cards. Some reported 8 to 9 individual 3080s and 3090s.
These are microcenters around the country?
Yeah, there's only, I believe, under 25 microcenters across the nation. Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of there's not a lot of stores. Well, there's not a lot of microcenters to distribute them to. Mm-hmm. So obviously, certain stores were getting almost 20 cards. Most were getting under 3 to 4 cards. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm sitting outside of this, and we're all in our cars now. We've actually, I think by this time, talked to the security guards and have gotten a mutual understanding and a confirmation that we cannot line up in front of the store physically until 7 a.m. But anything prior to, we can sit in our cars in the parking lot for as long as we desire.
Okay. So,
I want to say 15 or 20 minutes rolls around and a third person shows up. This guy was really cool. This guy was he was like me. He was a Latino American. He had a very thick accent, but he was a construction manager, and he drove like a really nice GMC, and it was a truck, and it was really cool. So he was number 3. I was technically number 1, but since the guy pulled up in the parking lot prior to me, I considered him number 1, and I considered myself number 2. So a lot of these people were genuinely fascinating individuals. I met a bunch of kids from... There was one guy I met who was a pre-med student.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was in his 20s. The guy was after like 2 3090s and a 3080. Mm-hmm. He said he was getting one for his girlfriend, for himself in his gaming rig, and a 3090 for a video editing rig. I'm like, holy shit, man. You're here to drop over like, what?
$2K almost?
Almost $3,000.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really large amount of money you're spending here, but hey,
you're not even a medical student yet.
I know. So, I think he was still in his residency. Hell, I don't even remember. But...
money's on the way.
Money's on the way. Anyway, so, I want to say it's 6 a.m., 5 a.m.
You've been there for how long now?
I want to say it had been already upwards of almost 3 hours, or fast approaching 3 hours. Mm-hmm. By this time, around 12 people have shown up. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were asking, like, hey, what time did y'all get here? And obviously, we understood that if we told them what time we got here, they would show up earlier, come the next day. Mm-hmm. So we played it a little conservatively. We said, around 4 a.m. Which, I mean, we technically weren't kind of lying, but at the same time, we didn't really want to tell them, we got here at 3:30 in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, poor guys, a lot of people showed up come 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and looking at the amount of cars and looking at the line, and they're like, I thought I would be like second or third in line. And we're like, dude, you can't really think that.
Yeah.
But
not with this product.
No, not with this product, not with how large the city of Houston is.
Might as well be Windows XP launching or something.
Yeah, I was really kind of confused, but I guess these people are just not as, I suppose, connected to the tech industry, or they're not really as in the loop, and so they're probably under the guise of, oh, maybe I can go there kind of decently early to get
like
a good
it's
spot.
a game launch, not like a...
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not thinking ahead. But even Black Ops launches had midnight releases
what I'm
prior
saying.
to. Anyway, there was a lot of cool people there. The experience as a whole, as I was saying previously, I'm sure a lot of people would assume it's grueling. To some extent it is. For instance, one issue I encountered in particular was the lack of access to a bathroom. That was actually, surprisingly, that was kind of a challenge. Let me kind of explain to you what happened. So, being that it was 4 a.m., 5 a.m., I want to say no store around was open, except for, we think, the Walmart that was over, over towards, I think it was, if you're facing outside of the store, to the left. We didn't, and I don't know if it was open or not, because I remember I got out of line. And just to clarify, we made a list. So by the time 7 a.m. rolled around, if you weren't present, by the time everyone was supposed to form a line, you lost your spot. And people would move up. So it was around 5 a.m., 4 a.m. I said to myself, damn, I really need to go take a bath. I need to go take a bathroom break. I go and I drive over to the Walmart parking lot. I go up to the doors, and on one side, they're not open. Now, by the time I've reached the door, it's getting close. Like, I'm like, oh god,
we have a problem.
We have a problem. Like, I really needed to go. So I wasn't too fond of running to the other side of the store just to try to get a chance to running in the back. I was afraid by that time I would have already shit myself.
It'd be too late.
Yeah.
Clean up on aisle 2.
Hey, coincidentally, at least it's a Walmart. I can get $10 shorts.
Right.
Anyway, by that time I was considering, hell, I might as well go try to see what's else around me. I looked over and there was a Jack in the Box, and I know Jack in the Boxes are usually like pretty late, but this one I went to wasn't open, or from what I could determine had the lights on but wasn't open. So I look over to the right of me, and to the right of the store is a 24-hour emergency medical center. And it's coincidental, because in my mind, this wasn't working.
Say that louder.
A 24-hour, this is the shit I was taken to when I needed to undergo surgery, before my surgery, a 24-hour emergency medical facility. The kind you find on the...
urgent care.
An urgent care. I went to an urgent care to take an urgent shit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so just picture yourself. It's 4:45, 5 in the morning. You're the receptionist at an urgent care, and you see this. It. Obviously, I was in a bit of a disheveled outfit. I wore, I think, sweatpants and this exact hoodie I'm wearing, my Akatsuki black and red and white hoodie. I went up to the receptionist, and I was very blunt with her. They looked like I had heads staring at me. There were nurses on the other side of the room, and there was this woman at a receptionist looking at me, wondering if I was in urgent need of urgent care. And
because you're racing in there. Right?
Yeah, I was kind of shuffling in there, walking. If anything, they would have thought that something was wrong with anything else, something in my lower abdomen. Maybe I had torsion or something.
Yeah.
But I went up to this woman, and I tried to be as polite as I could possibly. I was like, "Hi, excuse me, I really need to take a shit." I wanted to just make it as clear as possible. I wasn't here for anything else other than to relieve myself. And I very distinctly remember this. She looked at me for a solid 2 seconds, turned to the back left, where all the other nurses were facing, and they equally stared at her, and they're like, what? I don't know. And she turns back to me, and she just looked down, looked back up, and she's like, well, we don't normally do this, but go ahead. And so I darted to the back left, and I took a big shit. Now, thankfully...
24-hour urgent gas station. Oh my god, dude. That's hilarious. It was okay. Keep going. I'm sorry. This is funny.
No, it's alright. So, I finish my business. I turn around and I'm like, thank God. Thank you for being so kind. I go to my car and I return to the parking lot. So by this time, I return to the parking lot.
I just imagine them being like, what the fuck just happened? Like, they go check the bathroom, like, is everything alright in here?
If anything, yeah, they probably would have assumed I
Jesus.
shit blood.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
It really was.
So you went back to the parking lot.
So I go back to the parking lot, and by this time, I think only one or two more people have shown up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I forgot about such an important topic in this.
Okay.
Earlier, or I want to say around by the 5th or 6th person,
Mm-hmm.
we had somebody try to make a break for it. And by that, I mean we had a car pull up in front of the store. Out pops out this tiny Asian kid.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. He goes to the back of his SUV, whips out the lawn chair, whips out everything, and fucking darts to the front door. And this motherfucker pops open that lawn chair and pops it.
It's like a drive-by Black Friday.
Exactly. It's exactly just like that. So we look at this, and by this time, there are already 4 or 5 people there. Mm-hmm. We as a collective community made the list. Or I should say, me and another individual, the first and second person, made the list. And everyone who's shown up, we got their signature. That was their agreement to abide by the list and to give them the access to go and relieve themselves or to go grab a bite to eat should they want to. And if by 7 a.m. rolled around they weren't there, they forfeit their spot. Mm-hmm. By that time, 4 or 5 people had shown up, and we all collectively stared at this individual, and out popped out his girlfriend. And we looked at him and we're like, fuck. So what we do is we dart to the front, and actually by this time as well, a security officer comes over there and has to explain to him, you can't do this. Mm-hmm. Now, by this time, we've come to learn that there are a wide assortment of security guards that come there. There's no regular that does it all the time. It's a rotation. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, some of them have different rules. Clearly, whoever he had allowed him to do it because he made the argument, I don't see anybody in line. I was allowed to do this the last time I came here. Turns out this guy had been coming for 6 whole days.
Oof.
I want to say from the Monday. No, I'm bad. 4 whole days. Then the day he got it was the 5th day. The 5th day he finally got it. Mm-hmm. He had been showing up since the Monday, and he didn't get a card. So he made it his life's fucking goal to sit there and get a card from that day forward. Mm-hmm. To which, evidently, he kept his word by. Mm-hmm. So he went up to the front of the store. And we had to explain to him, like, dude, you can't do this. Like, we have a list. We are abiding by the security guard's rules. You can't do this shit. Mm-hmm. So after, I think, about 5 minutes, and after a bit of verbal confrontation, which incidentally resulted in some raising of voices, and I could just imagine the wandering homeless person looking over at a couple of people shouting in a circle at a Microcenter. He must be thinking, holy shit, this asset's strong. He eventually was calmed down. He's like, fine, I'll sign the list. And he realized he was like 5th in line. So he's like, okay, that's not terrible. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, I go to the bathroom, and I go to the 24-hour bathroom facility. Mm-hmm. And
this is post drive-by Black Friday.
This is post drive-by Black Friday.
Okay.
We all kind of just collectively come out of our cars. Mm-hmm. I don't exactly know what happened. There wasn't any event. Rather, it was just like 2 people that just walked out in front of the car and stood in front of the store. Like, in the parking lot. Like the width of a street away from the front of the store. We wanted to respect the guards and their rules. Mm-hmm. And it was just 2 guys. And I said, to hell with it. I went out and I had my drink with me. I think I had a Red Bull. I had like a 20-ounce Red Bull. Mm-hmm. I went over to them. I started talking with them. And then shortly thereafter, like 7 or 8 people more came out of their cars, and we just formed a circle and started talking. We talked about all kinds of shit, whether it was AMD's new Ryzen 5000 series CPUs and how they're going to be doing like really well against the new against Intel, and how they might take the throne for gaming's best CPU.
Yeah, I'm thinking about upgrading to AMD.
Actually, fun fact, did you know that? So Madison's building her PC. You know what she fucking got for her CPU?
What'd she get?
A 3900X. She got my CPU.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a really good CPU.
That's a great CPU.
It is. I was like kind of surprised. I'm like, damn, I didn't expect you to get that.
I'm talking about getting Aaron a 3200G.
That's a good starter CPU.
Just because the graphics card, we don't know if he's going to play it that much, so why buy a graphics card?
That's fair.
But
I mean, 1080p low settings, 60 is not hard to reach.
Side note, I was very disappointed that the new 4300G
Oh, yeah.
on the Zen 2 architecture,
Yeah.
the graphical performance is only like a 9% increase.
That's not very substantial.
I'm like...
I suppose it does. I don't even know if it... God, I haven't looked at the G
I just
series.
assumed it would look better. It's a new processor, but I guess no.
Yeah. To be quite fair with you, I haven't taken a look at the new APUs that Ryzen's released. I've been mainly focused on their 5, 7, and 9 series.
Yeah. I'm not in the market for one, but
It's still interesting to look at.
Yeah.
Huh. I'll have to take a look at that. Perhaps the performance increase is coming from its core and thread count. That may be it.
It's Zen 2, so it's...
It could have a 6-core 12-thread, or it could be a 4-core.
I think it is, but the graphics are like the same. So I'm like, well,
no.
That's half the reason you buy the APU, so...
That's fair.
Why would I buy it?
That's
But
fair.
I digress. So you're standing in the front of the store talking to people.
Yeah, we're talking about all sorts of things. We're talking about AMD's new CPU launches, how they're going to do well, how they're thinking AMD stock is going to go up. We're talking about the new Navi launches in comparison to the RTX 30 series. We were discussing like, how is this going to be? Is this also going to be a shit show of a launch, or are we actually going to get our product in time?
Yeah.
What else were we talking about? We were talking about colleges. This was when the pre-med student was there, so he was really cool to talk to. We just started shooting the shit. It was just a bunch of guys. Literally, I remember the only female to show up was a girl holding her boyfriend's spot. There was
Wow.
There was no when I mean that it was like just 99% guys. The only other female aside from her was the Asian kid's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And to be fair, she wasn't even there for herself. She was there just to be with her boyfriend. We come to find that out later. But like, yeah, no, it was just a bunch of guys. We were shooting this shit, talking about all just random assortments of things. And eventually the group kind of starts to disperse. This later becomes a permanent thing. We kind of just start to do this more often as the second day goes along. But eventually we just kind of disperse and go back into our cars. So by this time, it's probably around 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. on the first day. And we're enjoying our time. I'm in my car. I'm watching a video on my steering wheel. I have my phone propped up. And we're just kind of relaxing. Nobody's really kind of in any strain. We're just kind of chilling. A lot of people start showing up. I want to say this is around the time around 17 or 16 people are now confirmed on the list, which is actually interesting. I used, from my job, they gave me like a slim hardcover notebook. And in this notebook, it has like a little flap folder that you can hold stuff in, and it has a little notepad that you can write stuff in. And this is what I got from my job. I just wrote down, I think I still have it actually in my car. And I think I'm going to keep it. I have it written on top, the RTX list, and we made 2 copies. Actually, 3. The guy in front of me, the guy number 1, he wrote an electronic list. He wrote it down on his phone. I kept the physical list, and then I made a copy of the physical list just in case shit happened. So we played it really smart. We wanted to make sure if we had the list, we had the list in every form.
You blockchained it.
Exactly. We made sure that if there was a record of the record of the record.
Nice.
So we were making sure there was no flipping it around. I remember actually there was a couple of guys looking at me like it was a pair of guys. They came up and they were like, "Well, how do we know you ain't gonna mess with the list?" And I told them, I'm like, I have like a verification system here. I have another guy doing this with me who I don't know. This is a random stranger who I'm showing the information to. So, excuse me, if you want to take a look at his and compare them, go right ahead. This is like, I guess, like a two-way fact checker. That's the best way to put it.
Two-factor.
A two-factor authentication. There you go. So, anyway. Oh, that's good. By this time, 17, 16 people have showed up. We get occasional people that come in. I show them the list. Yeah, I show them the list. They're gone. They know they're not going to get a card. But 7 a.m. rolls around. We all look at the clock. I think, actually, it's fast approaching 7 a.m. It's like 6:50. We're all kind of realizing it's like, okay, I think we're good to go now.
When does the store open?
So the store doesn't open till 10 a.m.
So this is just to go sit in front of the store. You're waiting.
Yes.
That's wild. Okay.
We are waiting upwards of 4 hours to wait in front of a store for an additional 3 hours.
Okay.
We're waiting for waiting. So, anyway, by this time, it's 6:55, 6:50. We look to each other and we're like, okay, maybe it's time to go. We actually look and we don't see the security guard anymore. We think he kind of went away. But there's still a car there. So we're like, okay, I think we're good to go. We get in front of the store. We line up. We do a roll call. We're calling off names. Everyone who's there, responds. And we have a line. Now it looks like a Black Friday. Now everybody is sitting in a lawn chair. Some people have umbrellas. Some people are in cool, warm clothing. And we're just chilling. I remember I brought my book, Crime and Punishment. That was nice. I haven't had a good chance to read in a while, so I took that opportunity. But we shot the shit. We were talking. We're like, we were actually. So there was a really cool thing. There's a Discord. There's an official Discord thread for every Microcenter in the continental United States.
Really?
I'm not kidding you. I didn't know this existed, but there is in fact a Discord server which monitors it's community run, and so everybody, they got together. I don't know how they managed to do it. Perhaps a Reddit thread was created, or a Reddit, or a board. A board was created. Every single Microcenter location in these states is listed there, and we were keeping track. We started with the East Coast, because obviously they opened first. We were getting word. New York, 3 shipments.
It's like you're at fucking war.
Yes!
The front lines. They got 3 cannons.
Yeah, no.
Relay back to the West Coast.
We were monitoring real-time feed of people. These were...
There's commodity traders that could give less of a shit about their actual job than you guys. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
So we were, and I mean it, everybody had their phone outs. Or some people brought their laptops and hit up Wi-Fi hotspots. We were sitting down, monitoring everything. The New York Microcenters there's 3 Microcenters in New York. There's one in the Bronx. There's one in Midtown. There's so many of them, and because it's such a dense area. So we're monitoring them. The East Coast states are first. We're looking and we're reading. We're seeing how many they're getting. New York got 5 shipments. One of the stores happened to get 3 shipments of RTX 3080 ROG Strixes, which are the 3-fan, the really expensive ones. They're $890 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
So as we're going, we're getting more and more word of who got what. A majority of stores didn't get jack shit. A lot of stores, however, though, predominantly in some pretty high-density areas, did get some. And not in a substantial amount, too. I think upwards, I want to say a majority of them that did get them got at least 4 or 5 cards. Okay. So that was a pretty, it was kind of a relief. I'm like, oh God, I'm number 2. Because you're number 2, yeah. Yeah. So, and I mean, obviously, I wasn't the only one looking at it, so a lot of people were like, oh God, am I going to get a card? If, number 6 or number 7 was like, I don't know if I'm going to get a card. Number 5 was like, I hope I get a card. And number 1 and me, number 2, were like, we're going to get a card, thank God.
Yeah, if they have one, we're getting one.
Yeah, if they have one, which, come to find out, they fucking don't. But we'll get to that. So, we chill there. We're just hanging out. And by this time, we discover the majesty that is, I want to say, what hotel was it? I'm not too familiar with what hotel it was. There's a hotel besides the Microcenter in behind the El Pollo Loco, and I want to say it was I think it was a Hilton. I'm almost positive it was a Hilton. We discover the majesty that is Hilton, because Hilton, obviously it's a hotel, it's open 24/7, or majority of the time it's open 24/7. So that means the hotel lobby is good to walk in. So we discover you can walk in and just ask the clerk, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" And oh my god, it was we sent like a Voyager Pro. We sent someone, and we're like, "Dude,
you there, number 13."
Yes, we're like, "Dude, you go in that and ask them if we can shit in there." And they went in there, and they spent like 5 minutes, and they came out, and I remember this. I fucking remember this. This guy, we're looking, and I think just about everybody's head is peeking because it's around the corner of the store. We're looking, and we just see this guy walk in, and we're just kind of like, "Oh god." Is are they gonna yell at him or something? And then I remember he walks out and he's like, "Hey," and we're like, and one person's like, "Yeah," and he goes, "We can shit in here." And we collectively were like, "Oh, thank God." We were so fucking happy that you could just walk across the little boulevard and go take a shit peacefully.
It's a fucking expedition. Hey, man! There's water over here!
You really...
Oh, shit!
It was that pivotal. Because
oh, my God.
We didn't know how long... Hell, we had people, saying,
You can make a movie out of this. I'm just telling you right now.
We so could. we really could. Oh, my God, man. It was so good. It was so good.
So did you take a shit at the Hilton, or did other people take a shit at the Hilton?
I can proudly say I did.
Oh, all right. It's a double shit kind of night.
It really was.
What time is it now? It's past 7. It's...
Yeah, so I want to say around this time, we'll skip to around 9 a.m., 8 a.m. A lot of people have started to show up more. There's around 30 plus people online. I feel bad for the people in the back, but come to find out, I think a lot of people in the back were just there to shop regularly.
Oh, okay, good.
So, it's around 9:45. Or actually, no, it's 9:30. Around 9:30, we get word from the Dallas-Fort Worth Microcenter. The closest source we have to ours.
Yeah.
They got 2 cards.
Okay.
They only got 2 cards. And to make matters worse, they only got 3090s. They didn't get 3080s. They only got the 1200, or I think the 1500. No, it was it was a Strix. So I want to say it was $1,300.
Yeah.
So it's above MSRP. We're worried. We're like, oh god, what do we do if they only have 3090 cards? Come to a lot of people were saying hell, if they have only 3090 cards, I'm gonna buy a 3090 card. I don't care. I want my 30 series card.
Were you prepared to buy a 3090 if they only had 3090s?
I was not.
Okay.
I only had, I want to say $880 in my... No, I had I want to say I had around $900 in my account at the time. I wasn't going to carry cash. I wasn't going to carry any cash
that's
because...
stupid.
Yeah, that's really stupid. I had my card with me, and I was prepared to purchase $900 worth of hardware. That was it. If they only had the 3090s, I was shit out of luck. So, around 9:30, we get word from the Dallas-Fort Worth area that they get the 2 cards. But the reason they got the word is because Microcenter is very commonplace. This is a very commonplace trend that they do. Usually when it comes to hot ticket items that people they know will sit outside the store for, 9 times out of 10, a manager will come outside and will address the audience and say, hey, we have X amount of cards, or hey, we don't know if we have this many cards. What they like to do is they like to say, if any of you are actual shoppers, move to the other side, or just know if you're here not for a card, you can go in you can go in. But if you're here for this card in particular, if we find any in stock, we're going to get them and we're going to get you vouchers. So they like to get those sales done early because it impedes the flow of their traffic.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're kind of anxiously sitting around now. By this time, the adrenaline is kicking in.
Yeah.
It's 30 till, 20 till, 10 till, no manager. We're outside waiting for a manager to tell us, hey...
It's almost regular store hours.
Exactly. We're outside waiting for a manager to tell us either scram or, hey, good news. This manager didn't do any of that. This was the guy in front of me. He's a Microcenter regular, and he actually was on Twitter. You can probably find this tweet. He tweeted directly at Microcenter his displeasure with this manager in particular, because Microcenter this is a commonplace practice. They do this often. This one didn't abide by it. He was talking about the previous managers, the previous days he was here. They did it, but this one just didn't do it, and so he was kind of pissed off.
Yeah.
So. I want to say it's 9:55. Manager walks out. He's got a cowboy hat on and a business suit. He asks us, is anyone here for this 30 GPUs? Because obviously he really isn't in the loop. He calls them like the 30 GPUs. I don't really...
Yeah.
It's really weird. And everyone perks up and we're like, holy shit, this is the moment. And come to find out, he says, we don't have any in stock today.
Oof.
That was a big blow. I'm not going to lie. Because when you think about it, that's like 10 hours of your life kind of wasted. Or almost 10 hours.
Not wasted.
Well,
but
yeah. Not wasted, but not fulfilled, I guess you could say.
In those 10 hours, you took a shit in an urgent care.
Yeah, I took a shit in a Hilton, I took a shit in an urgent care, and I met some really cool people.
Met some really cool people.
Yeah, so it wasn't all for nothing.
Yeah, but nothing on day one.
Nothing on day one.
Duh.
It was really unfortunate. I remember there was a lot of people hanging around because Microcenter has different shipment days. Some days they'll get one shipment, others they might get two. And certain days they're guaranteed 2 shipment days, like Friday. They're guaranteed 2 shipment days. But other days are 1 shipment days, and if a potential shipment comes, it can't be guaranteed. Other days, like Sunday, they don't get anything. Some people were waiting around till 1 p.m. People were dead ass waiting till 1 p.m. They're like, I want this card, and they didn't get a card that day.
What did you do?
So I chilled for about an hour. I don't even want to say that. I think I chilled out for about 20 or so minutes. I was kind of just, to be fair with you, I went to the back of the store and I asked them, are y'all expecting any shipments today? Not a manager, an employee told me, well, we could get a second shipment, but it's highly unlikely. So I took that with a grain of salt, obviously, and I went to the monitor section and I began to ogle at the 240 hertz monitors.
Right?
Yeah.
The ultra wides.
Oh, not even that. This was like oh no. I went and I stopped by the 1080p 360 hertz monitor. That's gorgeous.
Just stared at it for a little bit.
Oh, I shimmied the mouse. I was like, oh, look at those refresh rates. I was in heaven. But I eventually got and met up with a couple of other guys, and I'm like, hey, are you guys going to chill and wait? They're like, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. So I agreed, and the consensus was, we weren't going to stay. So I went home, and I remembered, I, on my story, people were asking me, because I posted that to Snapchat.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you get it? I'm like, dude, I didn't fucking get it. And it was kind of heartbreaking. But at the same time, it was a good experience. And day two was different. Day 2 was really different, actually.
We're going to get into that. But day 1 was...
Day 1 wasn't a success, but it was
But
good.
it was worth it.
It was worth it for the friends I made along the way.
All right. Well, that's part 1 of this Jet Bros Gaming podcast. We'll be back with Tiger's story about day 2.
Day 2.
Day 2 in a second. And welcome back to part 2 of the Jet Bros Gaming podcast. We're going to discuss day 2 of Tiger's attempt to get a 3080 at Microcenter. So
that's right. Okay, so I guess we logically would start at the beginning. That being when I woke up. So this time, I want to say it was. Let's see. I want to say it was around 3 a.m. that I woke up, and I set out on my quest at 3:30. By the time I had arrived at Microcenter, I was second in line, actually. Legitimately. I wasn't the first, and then someone pulled up. I was actually the second person there. Okay. And it was funny, because it was actually the number 3 guy. It was.
Oh, he was back.
Yeah, it was the Hispanic dude driving the nice GMC. So I was like, holy shit. "Oh, hey, welcome back, man. How you doing?" Like, the guy was really chill.
Was this the next day?
This was the literal next day.
Oh, the next day you were back in line. Okay.
Yeah, it was the next day. So we kind of just chilled. We were talking. Like, we just got back together. We're like, dude, man, how you doing? How's things been? He says, oh man, things have been good. I was like, oh man, that's great. I'm really glad. It's like
Since 12 hours ago.
Yeah, I know. Like, literally, like fucking 12 hours later, we're back. I'm like, dude, how things been? But yeah, no. So by the time we're there, so we go talk to the security guard.
Mm-hmm.
We go talk to the security guard, and we're like, hey, are we good to chill here like we did last time? And he's like, yeah, you're good. So I'm like, okay, awesome. That's cool. So I remember parking my car, and this is still crack ass 3:30, 3:45 in the morning. I get out of my car, because by this time, I'm ready to write the list.
Mm-hmm.
I've already got my name down as number 2, and I'm going over, and I'm getting ready for him to sign his name. And sure enough, I get out of my car, and I hear this to the left of me, because to the far left, in the near center back of the parking lot, remember when I talked about that was that box that had the light shooting up with the red and blue flashing lights?
Yeah.
And that automated voice?
Mm-hmm.
A woman's voice comes over the microphone now.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this. This was like a legitimate person. This wasn't an automated voice. It was displaying a generic message. This was an actual intelligent person. And I remember this clearly. She said, will the gentleman in the red car please leave immediately?
Mm-hmm.
And following this, and she says, will the individual in the next car over please leave immediately?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh. And I remember looking at the guy in the car, and the guy in the truck, and he had his window down. He's like, did it just address us?
Mm-hmm.
We're like, what the fuck? We didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
So we're like, holy shit. So we're like, this is kind of wicked. We're like, what do we do? Like, this isn't an automated response. We're just like, fuck off. This is somebody telling us to go. That's actually, like, present.
Yeah.
So we're kind of just, like, stunned. We're like, fuck it. We're gonna just wait it out. We don't give a shit.
Uh-huh.
So this voice repeatedly says, will the individuals in the parking lot please leave immediately? And it gets more incessant. And at one point, it even sounds almost angry. We're like, will the gentleman please leave now? You are not permitted to be here. So we're just like, dude, this is getting kind of freaky. And so, just to clarify things, I remember looking to the guy in the car, or looking to the truck besides me, and I'm like, I think I'm going to go talk to the security guard. Because he didn't. The fucker didn't talk to the security guard when he came here. He just parked.
Yeah,
he didn't
like
talk.
last time.
Yeah, he just parked. But this wasn't the guy from before, where, like,
he knows everybody.
Yeah, where he knows the people. This was just a random third guy who'd been showing up for a couple of days and didn't talk to the security guards one bit. So I go and I talk to the security guards again, and I'm like, hey man, I just want to clarify, like, you sure we're good to be here? And he's like, yeah, no, you're fine. Like, you were here yesterday, you're fine to be here. So it's just, I think by this time, it's just me and that guy. It's, I want to say, approaching 4 a.m. now. And out of the blue, a fucking cruiser pulls up. And you know what I mean by cruiser, right?
Yeah.
Just a fucking, a cop sedan pulls in. This cop pulls in and goes, and it stops in front of the store. And we're looking, and we're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, this didn't happen before. Like, something ain't right. He goes, pulls up to the security guard, and, like, after a couple of seconds, kind of pulls out further, and eventually he gets to the point where his car is now a couple of meters in front of us and facing us, and a bright white light flashes on.
Jesus.
And it's pretty blinding. And, like, obviously, they can fucking see us. We can't see them. And so we're kind of just, like, fucking covering our eyes. We're like, oh, man, what the hell? Like, why the hell are you doing that? And flicks off, drives off. We don't fucking know why. And we're like, what the hell? 5 minutes passes by. Another cop car pulls in. Does the exact same thing, except he doesn't flash on his lights. He just pulls, kind of drives slowly to kind of like surveil, and then just drives off. Another fucking cop car comes by.
The third one.
The third and final cop car comes by. Does the same thing. And this time it's a sedan as well. It's a canine cruiser. I remember because it said canine on the side. Goes up. Goes to the security guard's car.
So the security guard's in a car?
Yes, there's two security guards at all times. There's one that sits in a car on the far end of the parking lot that's almost like a surveilling, and there's one that sits in front of the store, and they're just chilling there.
He sits outside in front of the store?
No, like in his car. They both sit in their car.
The security guard?
Both security guards, yeah. Both security guards are just chilling in their car. And he pulls up to the eldest, the most senior of the two, which I'm assuming is, the head security guard. So he pulls up to him and does the same thing. Chills for a couple seconds, drives off. So now I'm worried. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, this is the third cop car to pull up. What the fuck's happening? This didn't happen before. So we're really confused and we're really concerned. I go up to the security guard and I ask him, like, hey, what was with those cop cars? He looks at me and goes, they were asking me if I called the cops. And I'm like, they asked you if you called the cops? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, well, I assume you told them no. He goes, yeah, no. And I asked my partner if he called them and he said no. So this was all three cop cars. Asked him the same question. Hey, did you call us? And we go and I go back and I'm chilling besides the car, the truck, the guy who was number one. And I knew immediately it had to have been the fucking woman on the intercom. It had to have been. And we were kind of like surprised. We're like, dude, like she fucking wanted us gone. Like they didn't want us there.
But that's not like, so that's confusing because there's already security there. And you're telling me those aren't the same security people in contact with each other, or there's like...
That's the thing.
There's no...
But I don't know if they are, because what I remember...
It doesn't sound like it.
No, obviously not, from what obviously transpired. But like I remember back on the first day, it said like this area is protected by like the name of the security guard or the security company, and then like it would say like please leave immediately. So clearly it's an independent party. But I just...
Which is not the security people at the store.
Exactly. This was someone entirely different. So, I mean, we were kind of shocked. We're like, wow, like, I didn't think it would get to this. I didn't think we'd get the cops called on us. Because, we're not...
It didn't happen yesterday.
Yeah, no, it didn't happen yesterday. And to be quite frank, we asked other people. This hadn't happened at all. We're like, this is the first time this ever happened in this fucking store. So, we're chilling there, and, like, we were kind of surprised. We're like, dude, is another cop car going to show the fuck up? Are we going to get towed? Like, we were kind of worried. And I remember, like, asking him, and, like, I remember he looked at me, he goes, dude, I think you saved our asses. And I'm like, why? What makes you think that? He goes, if you hadn't talked to the security guard and asked prior to, I think we might have gotten fucking, like, towed or something. Or we might have gotten our asses handed to us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, you're probably right.
Hey, man. Good job.
Yeah, and I was on the air on the side of caution, so I don't want to be that kind of person and be like, oh, we're fine, and just get our asses fucking chewed out by the cops. But anyway, so this is day number 2 still.
I also like how they're like, did you call us? And 3 people show up to ask the same question as if they don't have a radio.
I know. I fucking know.
That's, whatever. But that's also funny.
Yeah. To be quite fair with you, maybe they called them and maybe they dispatched multiple because they thought they might have needed backup if they were saying... If the call was indicating we have 2 individuals in separate cars, maybe that's a justified reason for sending 3 cruisers. But anyway...
How far apart were they spread out?
I want to say...
The cruisers showing up.
Minutes apart.
Minutes? Okay. I was wondering if it was like 15 minutes and then 15 minutes. Yeah.
They weren't like tens of minutes. It was only a couple of minutes. Like, I want to say the closest duration was like 3 minutes apart, and the longest was like 6.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, anyway, yeah, so those cops were called on us. I was praised for a bit for, saving our asses. I'm like, I don't know about that, but we'll see. And by this time, more people start showing up. And it's the same usual suspects that were from the previous day before. people like I think the med student showed up again. There was another student from UH. There was the couple, the Asian kid and the girlfriend were there. He was number 4 in line this time. He was right behind me. There was a really cool black kid. I remember he was really, really cool. He was building his first gaming PC.
Oh, and he wanted a 3080.
He got a fucking
Nice.
3080. I was like, dude, you're fucking lucky as shit. So there was a lot of interesting faces. Some returning, some new. And I remember I basically was the pseudo moderator. I remember kind of what my role was being there, because every time a car would pull up, I got out. I had the list in my hand. And I remember it was raining, actually. It was kind of sprinkling. This was when the remnants of Hurricane Delta were coming through.
Oh, okay.
So this is when Delta was still, like, on the coast. And we were getting outer bands pushing out of Houston. So it was pretty windy. And it was getting kind of stormy. But I remember I soldiered on. I held out. I held my what do you call it? My folder. My little folder.
Yeah.
I held it close to my chest. And I remember I was walking. And I was like, I gotta get them to sign this. That's the only valid way to know that they're here in line at this time, at this place, in their position. And so I go up to them and like I'm asking like, hey, you gotta sign this. And like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, that's fine. We can go sign them and do all that shit. And I remember there was one guy who was like, oh wow, there's a list. And he's like, yeah. He's like, so what does exactly mean? I go, well, if you want to get a line, you can, go and do that. You can go to the bathroom, but if you're not here by the certain time, your spot is forfeit. And he almost seemed offended that we were doing this.
That you were keeping a list?
Yeah, that we were like, if you were like, obviously, I know not everybody has the ability to sit there for 5 to 7 days in a row to get a fucking graphics card. So I feel it's only fair that if you show up, when you show up, you get the spot you get. And you keep it until the line starts. And if you're not there for the line, you lose your spot. I feel that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
So...
And so does everyone else, apparently.
Yeah, everyone else was like, oh, cool, we're policing ourselves. I respect that. That's nice. Give people, if you get what you get. If you put in the work, you get the spot you get. So, this guy seemed offended a bit. He's like, really? There's a line? And I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, haven't you seen every fucking other RTX 3080 fucking launch video? There's other people who have done this. This isn't a fucking new and novel concept. But he seemed offended, almost like it was. I was like, okay, dude, whatever, fine. If you want to, I'm telling you right now, if you want the spot you have, you got to sign a list. Otherwise, you're not going to get the spot.
You're not going to get the spot.
Because, I mean,
punches will be thrown.
Exactly. You think upwards of 20 people are going to respect one individual disrespecting the list? No. Everyone that was there before you will not fucking stop.
It's the list.
People will not. Exactly. People will not tolerate any deviation from it because we all worked to get it.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, it was really cool. It's like self-governance. It was really interesting. So, anyway, I want to say nothing eventful really happens. We go back, we shit at the Hilton, everybody's going back and forth. I think the Hilton had seen its most traffic it had in quite a while. Or at least it's foot traffic, because there was quite a bit of people walking in and out, getting shit, coming back. The cool thing is that by the time, I think it was like 6 a.m. rolled around, still an hour before we had to be forming the line, a large portion of people went to the Chick-fil-A that was right beside the El Pollo Loco. And I mean, to be fair with you, I never once left the line. I left the line once. Prior to, I asked somebody to stay my spot, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go take a shit. I'll be right back. Went back, came back to my spot in line. I didn't do anything since. I read Crime and Punishment there, and I was still on my phone on the Reddit threads and just looking at it. And we were just chilling out in there and having a good time. People got their food, and I could smell it. I was like, damn, that smells pretty good. But I was like, no, I gotta stay strong. Right? I'm not going over there. Not now.
All right.
So around this time, I remember it's, I think it was 7 a.m. 7 a.m. rolls around, 8 a.m. rolls around. Everyone starts lining up. And by this time, East Coast reports coming in. East Coast. And? The front lines are reporting in their findings. New York is receiving multiple cards. Miami is receiving a couple. Like, major cities and their microcenters are beginning to get their distributes. So we're seeing some good news. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And I remember what scared the hell out of me was the East Coast, the far East Coast, was getting a lot of shipments, and then by the time you reach the Mid-East, no shipments. Like, it was beginning to wave, like, no shipments in one line of states, no shipments in the other, no shipments in, like, it was approaching Texas, and I remember by the time we're like, oh fuck, like, did they just distribute them to, like, the largest East Coast cities only? Because they've done that before. They've distributed them to select stores on certain locations before. And we were afraid. We're like, dude, we might not get shit. We're like, fuck. We're like, fuck, man. I really don't want to spend another 10 hours out here, and I don't want to spend another 12 out in front of the next fucking day. So we were
I don't want to shit in the Hilton.
I know, I don't want to shit. I don't want to shit in the fucking Hilton. I want to go back to my bathroom. So I remember we're all kind of sitting out there. We're looking, and we're hanging out, and oh my god, I forgot something very, very important. This is my apologies, folks. I forgot the betrayal of the FedEx.
What?
I'm not kidding.
Okay, go ahead.
So on the first day, there was we knew that a lot of the RTX cards can either come via two methods. The cards can come through the main truck shipment that the store receives every day except for Sunday, or it can come through an independent FedEx vehicle. So,
okay. I like how you know this,
yes.
by the way.
Oh, to be quite frank with you, a lot of PC enthusiasts know the shipment and tracking details of Microcenter distribuments better than the employees do. The number one in front of me on the first day is a prime example of that. He could list off every distribument day that they had. He knew when they came and when they were estimated to arrive. He said days that typically receive two shipments come from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If it's not after 1 p.m., it's a guaranteed shipment at 4 p.m. If it's not a two-shipment day, it only receives it at 10 a.m., and a FedEx truck can come late. It's always variable dependent. Sunday is the only day that doesn't have a shipment.
It's like a fucking math equation.
It was.
Like, one shipment minus 4 o'clock equals variable cost of FedEx.
Yeah, no, like, this man, like, had this shit down, like, the back of his fucking hand. I was amazed. I'm like, dude, you must
These people need to be on our national security team.
Honestly. These people have the surveillance down. Anyway, it's so like...
the betrayal of FedEx.
The betrayal of FedEx. So, we're sitting in front of the store on the first day. Rewind to the first day. We're sitting there. I'm second in line. Out of the corner of our eye, on the far right, on the underpass, we see a FedEx vehicle. And we're immediately lit. We're like, holy shit, this could be the FedEx vehicle that delivers the RTX cards to the store.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, we don't fucking know. We really have no clue. So, this car, we look and we're like, it's at a light. It's the light before it reaches the straightaway, then to turn onto the street. Then to turn it into the parking lot. But we're watching it, we're like, dude, this could be it. This could be it. This could really be fucking it. The car's going straight. It's coming to us. We're like, oh fuck. This is happening. This is really happening. We're all watching it in anticipation. The car pulls into the parking lot, and I remember this vividly. We could see the driver. The driver was a woman. And it looked like a bit of like a middle-aged woman. Mid-30s, early 40s. We look at her, and she stares at us. And she's driving by, and she's honking the horn, and she's like giving a thumbs up. She's honking the horn and giving a thumbs up, and she's enthusiastic. We're like, holy shit, she's fucking got it. Like, we know she's got to know what's in there, so she can't give us a thumbs up. Why else would she be giving us this thumbs up? There's no fucking way that we wouldn't be having no cards, and there wasn't any cards.
She just kept driving.
She kept driving. No, she didn't keep driving. She pulled into the Microcenter.
No.
She pulled into the Microcenter, and there was no fucking cards. We were so hyped. It was so crushing.
I could just see it now.
We were all so fucking hyped. We were cheering. I don't even kid you when I say people were clapping. This bitch could get a standing ovation. It was, oh my god. Looking back on it now, it was definitely...
She did not know. That's hilarious.
She genuinely had no clue what the fuck she was carrying. Which, to be fair, I mean, makes sense. If you're a FedEx driver and you know what you're carrying, you might go run off with it.
So she was white. right?
I think so. I think it was like an elderly white, or
just
it was
know
like a
it.
tan woman.
I just know it. She was like, "Oh wow, all these people lined up for the store." Like, because white people are big on Black Friday. Like, oh my god, Black Friday. She was like, it was like excitement. She's like, oh yeah, good job, whatever.
Yeah, I don't.
And everyone's like, oh my god, she's got the card.
Yeah,
she's got the card. Oh, that's just hilarious.
It was totally like a mixed mess, miscommunication.
Oh my god.
So
I'm surprised you didn't run around to the back of the store and be like,
oh my god. Yeah. Oh, you know what's actually funny? Huh? We had people that ran to the fucking edge of the store. They were looking. They were staring. They were fucking eyeballing this. They were eyeballing the fucking vehicle. They're like, holy shit, what's happening? Oh my fucking god.
Oh my god, dude. Okay. That's hilarious.
So it was. This has plenty of arcs, and the FedEx betrayal is definitely...
the FedEx betrayal.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Okay.
So anyway, let's return back to day two. So day 2 gets a little more eventful, actually.
Yeah.
So this is around the store is now. It's around 7 a.m. We're now allowed to line up in front of the store.
Mm-hmm.
But just before that, almost. A fight could have almost broken out.
Really?
Yeah. Had it gotten a little ugly, this could have been potentially it. In terms of like a climax happening before everything. So we're all standing around in the parking lot as we normally do. I think I had a can of Monster with me just because I needed something for a pick-me-up. And I remember everyone else was kind of just chilling. We were all just relaxing and just talking and shooting the shit and having a good time. When I remember, I think it was like this black Bronco, or it was like a black Mustang, pulls up in front of the car, pulls up in front of the store. And out comes, and in the driver's seat, this man doesn't leave, but in the side of this is like some fat kid. And we're looking, so he's like curly hair, and we're looking, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe he's another kid, maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe he's gonna just line up in front of the store again, who the fuck knows? So I remember I go up to the kid, I'm like, hey man, like, you gotta sign the list. And like, this kid scoffs at me, he's like, what fucking list? What fucking list? What do you mean a fucking list? And he's like, I'm like, dude, you gotta sign the list. And like, we're like talking to him, he's like, dude, we can't line up in front of the store until 7 a.m. And he's like, yeah, why the fuck do I need to sign the list? And I remember this guy, this like an older dude, gets out of the car and he stands up and he's like, what are these jackasses saying? Like, he's starting to get aggressive now. He's like, do you work for the store? Do you work for the store? I'm like, no, but I'm abiding by the store's rules. Like, that's what I'm not here to enforce the rules. I'm telling you, these are the rules. You gotta respect them, otherwise the fucking security officers are getting involved. And so the fucking security officer does get involved. Okay. He pulls up in front of him and he's trying to explain to him, he's like, no, you can't line up just yet. You can't fucking line up just yet. It's not 7 a.m. You gotta wait till 7 a.m. And so the guy's like, fuck it, whatever, fine. Like, they start trading some, like, shouts almost. But he's like, you know what? Fine, fuck it. I can wait in the car for a little longer. That's fine. I can stay if you need me to. The kid eventually, reluctantly signs the list. He looks down. He's like, fucking... I think he's like 15th on the fucking list. He's like 15th on the list. He's like, fuck this, man. I don't want to fucking... He signs it and he's like, okay, whatever. So, we're chilling. And we're like, all looking. And we're like... We look at the watch and we're like... Well, can we line up now? And like, it's like 6:58, 6:57, and the security guard's like, sure, why not? Line up. So we're like, okay, cool. Go there, get in front of the store, pull up the list. I'm like, okay, roll call. Start listing out everybody's name. Everybody gets in their line and their spots. We all pop a squat. Easy money. Everybody's there. Everybody's accounted for. So, just shooting the shit. We're just talking, hanging out. It's starting to rain. I hate it because it's an annoying rain. It's not a downpour.
But it's not a sprinkle.
It's not a sprinkle. It's enough so that I can feel every droplet hit me, but it's not enough that it's like it's just a constant like
I got you.
So it's kind of irritating me. I'm like, I don't like this. Fuck it. And you know what's making matters worse? I didn't bring my umbrella. I thought I had my umbrella in the back of my car, and I didn't. I was like, fuck, man. So, anyway, chilling there, second in line again, and we're just hanging out. You fast forward a couple of hours, and FedEx truck arrives. We know now. We know better.
We know better, he says.
We know better. We know better than to believe the lies that the FedEx truck can spew. Okay. We stare. And the lady does, and this is, I think, not the same lady. This is a different woman. She does almost the same thing. She gives a honk, multiple, and gives a thumbs up. And no one is amused.
You're like, okay, keep your secrets.
Yeah, we're basically just waiting. We're like, we're not gonna.
You're basically fucking frowning at the woman.
We're almost glaring at her. We're just like, I don't fucking trust anything you're going to tell us. So the FedEx truck drives to the back of the store. Okay. It like, you know the way the store, it's like a big square. So the FedEx truck drives on the right-hand side and goes back. Of course, you have the same two people go over there and stare, and they're like, oh, is it going to go back? Sure enough, it does. It parks, and it turns around, and it goes to the back of the store beyond our line of sight, so we can't see shit. Mm-hmm. Well, then things get even more interesting. Mm-hmm. This is probably around 8:35, 8:40 in the morning. Out of nowhere, we look. There's an 18-wheeler coming. It's a plain white 18-wheeler. Mm-hmm. And it's coming out of the... It looked like it had pulled far into the parking lot of the Walmart and came around, which makes sense. I don't think it can maneuver in those sharp turns. Mm-hmm. So it can't. So it makes a really wide turn on the far end, and it comes all the way back, and now it's in the Microcenter parking lot. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, this is new. This is new. Like, we haven't seen this before. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of staring, and actually one guy works at a Walmart. He's like a floor manager. It's like something like that. And he's asking, he's like, that came from a Walmart parking lot. We can't really be too sure it's for Microcenter because that looks kind of similar to a distribution truck for Walmart. It's a plain white vehicle. They usually come, I forget what types of vehicles he said it was, like the brand, like I think...
Yeah, like Peterbilt or something like
Volvo,
that. Yeah.
like different semi-brands. And he's like, I don't know. It doesn't look like a typical brand that we use, but the markings are kind of similar to those for, undisclosed, unmarked transportation vehicles. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, well, who the fuck knows? This could be anything, really. So we're kind of got our hopes up a little bit, but the tension is high. Because now, for some reason, the vehicle now... And I mean, like, the way this is like extremely coincidentally positioned. It had to have been, but the vehicle now pulls up in front of the Microcenter store. It's like really, that's actually getting pretty close to us. It's like a couple of feet from the curb. It's pulling all the way up, and now the front of the vehicle is really far ahead, and the back of the vehicle, where the 18-wheeler opens up on the back, is right in front of the fucking front door. Mm-hmm. So now that's indicating to us, like, are they dropping something off? And, like, I remember one of the guys besides me is like, I just really want one of them to open up the goddamn door, and I hope Jesus is just... It's like, I hope Jesus is just holding a 39 in his hands. Is like, take this, my child. And we're like... Oh.
And process your graphical dreams.
Yes, fucking, may our frames be high and our temps be low. Like, anyway, so this 18-wheeler is chilling in front of the Microcenter, and we're all speculating. It's like, there's no way this is for the Microcenter. There's no way. This doesn't look right. This looks kind of whack. This looks kind of sus. Well, this vehicle turns into the left. So it's now inside the full parking lot. And it backs up. And it's backing up to the right of the store. So we're like, holy shit, maybe this is it. Maybe this is actually a shipment coming in that's a little late. We don't fucking know. Mm-hmm. This backs up, and he makes a left-hand turn. And now he's going in front of the store. And now he's going to the left of the store. And now it looks like he's going beyond the store. We're like, oh, fuck, this wasn't it. And then he makes another left turn. Now he's going what looks to be to the left side of the store, going back. And we're like, holy shit, maybe this is it. This went from like an uphill to like, oh my god, to a downhill to like, nah. And then it's back up to an uphill. Like, holy fuck, this may be it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like a shitty emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
So we're going and we're looking and we're like, holy shit, maybe this is it. Maybe this is fucking it. I really hope this is it. Mm-hmm. And we really think it was, because it chilled in the back there for quite some time. Because I had to remind everybody, we're like, dude, wait a second. The FedEx truck, because there's one detail I forgot to mention, the FedEx truck entered through one side and then came out the other. So you can enter still that same direction and go and unload. There's no, like, directional way. You can go whichever way you want. Mm-hmm. So I was like, fuck, man, this could really be it. Like, we're like, holy shit, man. Like, this could genuinely be it. So I remember we're just chilling, and we're waiting, and like, people are going and getting their Chick-fil-A, people are going to the Hilton to take a shit, people are, like, I feel really weird for those
Hilton people?
Yeah, like, they're just like, there's like
innocent bystanders to daily 30-80 people taking a shit.
Exactly. Like I remember one guy. I was going to the bathroom and I was like, I was walking in, and there wasn't a guy to greet me. Yeah, there wasn't a receptionist. And I was kind of walking in. I'm looking. I'm like, am I good? I don't know if I can go in, but fuck, I'm gonna go in. I gotta take a shit. If it's not on the fucking toilet, it's gonna be on the floor. So I go in. I'm like, I look in, and like the guy's like, there's a guy. He walks in. He's like, oh, hi. Do you have a room here? I'm like, no, sir. I have to just use the bathroom. He's like, oh, okay. Like he like has that tone of voice that he was like, oh, I'm here for your service, and he's like, oh, okay, fuck you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, whatever, fine. I go, I do my shit, and I come out, and I want to say now it's 9 a.m. Now we all look and the anticipation's kind of setting in. Now we actually start getting more word from other locations coming in. So I think it was I said the East Coast was getting shipments, and then there was a blackout of the other shipments coming in through the Mid-East and then into Central. So we were kind of like anxious. We're like, dude, this is kind of fucking scary. Like, I don't know. This is kind of weird. Because also they could not have received shipments because they also could be coming on the second shipments. This was a Friday, so they were guaranteed a second shipment come 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So they could have just been a delayed response. And we're like, dude, we don't fucking know. Like, this is kind of sus. We really don't know. So it's around 9:30. No word from the manager. The manager hasn't come out.
Not the manager.
I know. We were really upset because one guy the previous day mentioned that if they usually don't come out by 9:30, or they usually don't come out and address the people there that are there for specific products, because, you know, some people still kind of line up. Because, like, fun fact, actually, I didn't realize this on Sunday, they're open an hour early for senior citizens. Oh. They do that because, you know, they
COVID
don't want
and stuff.
Yeah, for COVID, but also, you know, for personalized tech help. Because elderly people aren't usually the savviest when it comes to that kind of thing. So, you know, they want to be there to help them and assist them and make the right purchase, because, you know, you can sell an old person virtually anything in technology, and there's no real way they can validify it because they have a hard time with that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So they want to make them get an informed purchase. So I totally respect that. But most of the time they like to come out and get this shit out of the way. That way they're not gonna be, you know, holding up the line.
Yeah.
Well, this guy, again, doesn't do it. It takes him about till 9:50, 9:45. He walks out, and it's the same guy in the cowboy hat. Same guy in the blue suit. And he's like, is anyone here for an RT? Is anyone here for like an RX 30-something series? Anyone here for graphics cards? And we all look, and we're like, yeah, that's what we've been here for. That's what we've come here for 5 days for. And this guy's looking, and he's like, well, I just want to let you know we got some. And we're like everyone collectively gasped. I'm almost sure of it. But then he follows up with, we just don't know how much right now. So we're left in, again, ambiguity. We're left in ambiguity again. Or ambiguity again. We don't know how many cards we have. All we know is we have cards.
There's at least one.
There's at least a card. Of what? I don't fucking know. All I know is if it's a 3090, I can't buy it because the guy in front of me is going to buy it. And if it's a 3080, the guy in front of me is still going to fucking buy it.
Right. So
there has to be at least 2 3080s for me to get a card. I remember he was saying, like, we don't know how much we have. We'll get them sorted out. We'll give you all the vouchers when we know how many we own. So we're like, oh shit, like this is it. This is it. We're going to fucking get the card. So, eventually, it's 9:55. He walks out, and he's like, okay, we have 6 cards. And they're all the same brand. All Asus Tough Overclock 10 or 3080s. And I'm like, like, we're fucking, like, the adrenaline rush kicks. Like, we're all like, dude, we fucking got it. We did it. Like, it's me. It's like, it was
that guy,
yeah,
that guy.
Like, it was me, the guy in the white guy. There was the one black kid I was talking about, who was building his first PC, another really cool black kid. There was an Indian kid that was there with me. The Asian kid got one, and that was it. We were the only 6 people to get the cards. And we were like, fucking like, dude, let's fucking go. Like, we were hyping each other up. It was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, it was such an emotional moment where you know the fucking, what is it fucking called? I think it's, God damn it, it's slipping me right now. The movie Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dylan, you son of a bitch, and he clasps hands, and he's like, the motherfuckers are ripped as shit, and they're gripping each other's hands.
I don't know that movie, but it sounds funny.
It's not Predator. I forget what it's Apollo Creed. It's the guy who plays Apollo Creed. I don't think, maybe it is.
Called Van Damme.
No, it's Predator. It's Predator.
Is it Predator?
It's Predator. It's the original Predator when he encounters Dylan for the first time. Dylan, you son of a bitch, and he clasps his hands, and the famous
the biceps,
scene.
yeah.
The famous scene like that. Dude, it was just like that. We were motherfuckers, and we were there. We were brother in arms. We're like, dude, we fucking weathered the storm, and we have reaped the benefits.
That's awesome.
So it's now 10 a.m. The store is now officially open. The store door slides open, and out pops the same manager, and now he's got the vouchers. And I still have my voucher, and I'm probably going to frame it. I mean that in all legitimacy. I have the photo of my voucher, and I have no intention to ever throw it away. And actually, what's really cool is I'll get to this later once I actually unbox the card. I have the voucher. I held that thing on to dear life, and I took a picture of it. I was like, bag secured. I fucking got it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I saw that on your Snapchat.
Yeah, it was hella nice. So now we walk into the store. We're the only ones. It's us 6 are leading the vanguard to the back of the PC section. And I remember there was everybody else in line was for the cards were walking with us. They were all walking towards us. We all had numbered cards 1 through 6, and we got to redeem them. And I remember it was funny. They were asking like, "Hey, do y'all got any more? Do y'all got any more?" And this is all because there was a rumor started. And this is just like a fucking Pokemon playground rumor.
Yeah.
I'm not even fucking kidding you. This, supposedly, there was a guy, and I forget what state.
Whose dad works at Nintendo.
No. It gets kind of stranger.
Yeah.
This guy was at a Microcenter, waited for the entire day, didn't get a card. Randomly walks in, like 2 p.m. Nobody got a card that day. Not a single person walked out with a card, no shipment. Walks out to the clerk of the counter at the back of the Build Your PC section. He's like, "Hey, do you got any, 3080s hidden?" Sure enough, the fucking clerk says yes. The clerk fucking, said, "Yeah, we got one. It's a 3080 OC Strix." And he's like, "Dude, fucking give me it." And he fucking bought it. Allegedly bought it. Yeah. There's no confirmation that this ever happened.
But it's the rumor that there's a secret.
It's the spreading rumor throughout the Discord, apparently. And apparently, everyone's fucking asking every fucking store if they have it.
Like Mew and...
fucking Mew
like Mew in the truck.
Like Mew in the truck. Everyone's now after this fucking elusive...
Oh my god.
It's
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like Mew 3.
Yeah.
It's like Mew 3. Everyone's like, dude, this... It could exist. We don't know.
Exist.
Look. There's the fucking shitty,
like the 18th Colossus almost.
There you go. It's that unregistered hypercam fucking 2005 YouTube video shit.
Yes.
My god. It's just that kind of aura. And so we're back there and we're redeeming our cards.
That's why I love the gaming community.
I know. We're back there and I'm redeeming it, and they bring them out and they look like. Have you ever seen what an MRE looks like? Do you know what?
Yeah.
They're in that brown fucking box. They're really hard.
Sealed kind of. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and they have that. They actually had the clear zip ties all around the box. And I remember I held it and it was fucking heavy. I'm like, dude, this is fucking cool as shit.
Quality.
So then everyone, and I mean everyone, is in the back and they're chilling. And they're getting their cards and they're chilling out and they're trying to ask the clerks, excuse me, if they've got any more in stock, asking them for shipment details, and all they can tell them is, "We're getting them the shipment today at 1 p.m. Good luck." So I go to the front counter, and actually now other people that were watching, like, from the line are following us.
Mm-hmm.
They're following us to the checkout. Because they're waiting for someone's card to decline. Or they're waiting for somebody to lose, like, it all.
Yeah.
They're waiting for it. And, I mean, technically, to be fair with you, I don't see why they are, because those vouchers that they gave us were good until 3 p.m.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So those vouchers were good for us to redeem until 3 p.m. Mm-hmm. If we weren't back then to reclaim the card, it was all fair game.
Mm-hmm.
But they were chilling there like fucking hawks. Like, I mean, like, they were vultures in the hot desert sun, just looming, waiting for a card to lose its grip. And so, I remember, like, this freaks me the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, wouldn't you know it, my card declined.
Really?
I'm getting to a juicy part.
Okay.
So, my motherfucking bank, I'm at the fucking finish line. I have the card in my hands. The clerk checked it out. I was bantering with them. He's like, dude, I would fucking love to have a 3080 right now. I'm like, dude, you don't know how surreal this is for me. And I remember, like, everybody that, like, they're like, all of the younger guys that were there, we made a deal. It's like, all right, when we buy this card, we walk out together, because motherfuckers will jump you. Mm-hmm. You will get fucking attacked for that piece of hardware, because it's so elusive. Mm-hmm. So we're chilling, and they're like, one by one, they're checking out. They all kind of go, and they're kind of waiting in the lobby. And I swipe my card, and it's declined. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm like, hold the fuck up. I have the money. I know I have the money. I canceled all of my automatic transactions. There shouldn't be anything that is sapping my funds from this moment onward. Mm-hmm. I look, and I'm like, okay, let's call my bank. I call my bank up. And I'm like, hey, did y'all have, like, a fraud protection? Because, like, they sometimes do that.
Yeah.
Like, large purchases you make, obviously, your bank's like, dude, hold the fuck up. Like, what the fuck's happening? So, obviously, I'm like, oh, maybe it's my card's fraud detection. And I call my bank. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, that happens all the time for this kind of shit. So, I call my bank up, and I'm asking him, I'm like, hey, do y'all have, like, fraud protection? And he's like, oh, give me 1 second. I'll double check with you. Wait a couple minutes. He's like, yeah, no, yeah, your card's been declined because of fraud protection. Can you give me the location of this? I'm like, yeah, it's Microcenter, off of Westheimer, and, you know, just kind of sitting here. I want to let you know, this is my purchase. I am authorizing this. I do have my card. It wasn't stolen. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, that's fine. All right, well, that's cool then. So the block has been lifted, and, you know, your card's activated. So I'm like, cool, thank you. He's like, yeah, no problem, man. Take it easy. Have a good one. I'm like, yeah, you too. I'm like, cool. All right, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
This is nice. Yeah. Oh, God, sweet serenity. I swipe. I'm like, okay, cool. Swipe my card. It's declined again. And so I'm like, okay, maybe it takes a second. He's like, give it a minute. Now, every single person who purchased a 3080 is now done. Mm-hmm. Now they've all huddled around me. They're looking at me like, dude, you having trouble with your bank? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, fucking, my bank is, like, telling me for some reason, like, I had to do, like, the fraud protection, you know, that kind of shit. So, you know, just kind of wary about it. And oh, wait a minute. I insert my card. It's declined again.
No.
So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, my heart, when I tell you I'm, like, getting, like, anxious, I'm like, dude, don't fucking tell me I'm not going to have enough money for this. Like, what could possibly be wrong? Mm-hmm. So I call my bank for a third time. And I'm like, hey, like, what the fuck's happening? Like, can, like, you, like, tell me something real fast? And they're like, yeah, well, like, give me a second. Like, you got a transaction notice on your card, but give me a second to note. Then give me a second to look this over. And she talks to me, and I finally figure out why. Mm-hmm. So, my card expires this month.
Okay.
So, when I say, like, my card expires this month. So, the motherfucker that I talked to previously, when he said the card activated, he deactivated my current card and activated my new one
for
in the fucking
new
mail.
Month? Oh, no! No! That's ridiculous.
He activated my new one in the mail. It hadn't even reached my home yet. So I'm like in disbelief. I'm like, holy shit, man, are you kidding
Holy
me?
crap.
Like, you don't fucking know. Like, this is again the emotional roller coaster.
Jesus
I'm literally at the
Christ.
fucking finish line. I take a step forward
You've
and I
got
take
the
a step back.
You've got the sweaties behind you.
Yeah, no, I'm not even fucking kidding you when I say I look over and there's a motherfucking fat ass dude who's standing there looking at me, eyeballing me, and he's like, dude, I hope you fucking lose that card. I'm like, God fucking damn it.
Jesus Christ.
So I get word that my card, like, it was deactivated. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck does that mean? Like, are you telling me this card's dead now? Like, I can't fucking use this card anymore? She's like, give me a second. Let me talk to some people. Time passes by.
You're still at the register.
I'm still at the register.
Oh my.
4 people, I think only 2 people are standing around me now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else has walked out and gone to their car together. 2 people are standing by me. It's one the Indian kid and the other black kid.
Mm-hmm.
They're both really fucking cool kids. I'm just anxious this entire time. Like, I'm tapping my foot. I'm fidgeting my finger. Like, I'm on hold, and I'm like, dude, don't fucking do this to me. Out of every fucking waking moment of my existence, I know I am unlucky, but don't do this to me. And and she's like, okay, your card's been reactivated. And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Thank you. She's like, yeah, no, it's no worries. She said, all you have to do is when you get your new card in the mail, it's been deactivated. All you have to do, call a number, reactivate it, and then it should deactivate the current card you have now. So I'm like, okay. Thank you, God. I can rest easy. Thank you, Christ. Mm-hmm. Before I do anything, I hang up the phone. I check my bank account. $900. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I still have my money. I'm still good to go.
Uh-huh.
I look at the guy. I'm like, we're good. And he's like, okay, man, swipe your card. I insert my card, and it's taken the same amount of time. It's slow, and it's looking, and he's like, oh, can you verify your number for me? I'm like, sure, I'll verify my number.
I'll verify my
number. I verified my number real fast, and there was no stubby printed ticket that said card declined. It fucking printed that motherfucker out.
Yeah, there
I
you
was
go.
like, oh.
Credit.
I was, thank you, Christ. So I got it, signed that motherfucker off, walked outside with the 2 of those badass motherfuckers, and I remember taking a picture. I remember I buckled that bitch up in my side.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember I said, gotta keep my baby safe. I fucking buckled that shit up, and I remember I drove home, and I listened to Michael Jackson's Beat It. That's what I listened to. I don't know why. I was in such a pumped up fucking mood, but I listened to MJ's Beat It, and I'm like, dude, I fucking feel like I'm on top of the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a story. Holy crap.
Some fun facts about the RTX 3080s. I didn't know this, but apparently they come with trading cards.
Uh-huh.
I really didn't know this. The card I have is the 3080 OC edition, so it's actually more expensive than the baseline version. Mm-hmm. This card actually comes, I think every RTX 30 card comes with a little trading card. Mine has 4 stars because it's not a 5-star 3090, but it's like a 4-star card. It's like, oh, it's got a description, and it's got like a cardboardy feel. Not very bendable. It's actually really rigid, and it's got like a holographic coat. And I'm like, ooh, so nice.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, man.
So that's frame that too.
I am gonna. Oh, dude, you can bet your ass I'm a PSA grade that.
PSA grade the NVIDIA card.
I'm a PSA grade that.
Oh no, Jesus Christ.
But that's my
Holy crap.
Thus concludes the Odyssey that was the 3080
very
Endeavor.
Entertaining.
Very
honestly
entertaining.
Movie worthy, if I'm being honest. The tension, the rise, the fall,
everything.
the plot,
hero's journey. Who's that?
The trader that is FedEx,
Mm-hmm.
the UPS, the Hilton, the urgent care poop incident.
I will forever be indebted to Hilton after this.
Bro, urgent care.
Urgent care honestly came clutch.
It's ridiculous. Thank you for sharing all of that. I had just so everyone knows, this was supposed to be like a podcast about, we're going to talk about this for like 5 minutes, and then we're going to actually talk about games. This is turned into Tiger's Odyssey, and it was awesome.
I'm glad you think so. I loved every second
and
of it.
I am glad that this happened. So.
Oh, yeah, no. If you ever get the chance to do this, highly recommend it. Some wacky shit can happen. You meet some really cool people along the way. And again, people may think this is a grueling endeavor. I dare say this was the most fun I've had standing outside in front of a store.
So when the 4080 comes out, we will have a new version of this story. hopefully with more events,
Mm-hmm.
and we will keep you guys updated. So thank you
Absolutely.
for listening to the Jet Bros Gaming Podcast, and we will see y'all next time.
See you later.